Namaste, my name is Ishita Saran, and my presentation is India's response to outsiders. There are four subcategories: refugees, visitors, students, and invaders. Due to time restraint, I will not be going over details, as you may look at those in my essay. Refugees. India had a generous custom of giving shelter to refugees from different parts of the world. The Jews have a history of seeking shelter since 562 BC. We find that the Jews were welcomed and provided support to resettle by local rulers. On the map, we can see the concentration of Jewish refugees in India as they settled. The Zoroastrians. The Zoroastrians were another class of people from the region of Persia who escaped Islamic persecution in the 7th century. They were helped by the rulers of Gujarat to settle down. Today, this community is one of the most prosperous communities in India. The Polish. Persecuted and deported from Russia, over 5,000 Polish refugees found shelter in India in 1942. The Maharajas of Navangar and Kolhapur established facilities to rehabilitate them, including Polish schools, scouts, churches, shops, and theaters. The Maharajas exemplified the concept of Atithi Devo Bhava, or guest is akin to God. In July 2022, a ceremony was commemorated in Warsaw to honor the two Indian Maharajas who provided shelter to thousands of Polish refugees during the Second World War. The Circles of Poles from India was founded in England to express gratitude to India and its people. The Tibetans. With the Chinese annexation of Tibet, the Dalai Lama, among with 80,000 Tibetans, fled to India in 1959. They were welcomed with open arms, and the government allowed the Dalai Lama to set up a government in exile in Dharamshala, India. With continued Chinese oppression, refugees have continued to pour into India, with some estimated over 150,000 today. The Tibetans are tagged as the most successful refuge community today. Famous visitors. Megasthenes was a Greek ambassador to Chandragupta Maurya's court. He was one of the first distinguished visitors to India and famous for his work in the Indica. The Indica provided an encyclopedic study of the land and its people. Al-Masudi was a traveler who came to India from Baghdad. He traveled to Gujarat and the west coast of India. He notes that there was a regular interstate trade and many interactions of Muslims and Hindus throughout the land between India and Malacca, or Malaysia. Hindu rulers of India had a secular outlook, interested in the protection and welfare of all communities. Nicolo Conti. He was one of the earliest visitors to Vijayanagar. He spoke of the opulence and splendors of Vijayanagar in detail. He was surprised due to Vijayanagar's beauty and the king's power, as the king was one of the most powerful rulers in the whole of India. Al-Biruni. He was a Muslim scholar accompanied by Muhammad of Ghazni to India. He was a multidisciplinary scholar who studied the Sanskrit and translated some of Sanskrit works to Arabic. He wrote the Tahqiq-e-Hind, in which he described the social, political, religious, and economic conditions of India. He compared the Hindu belief system with Islam in detail and borrowed heavily from the Indian astrology and calendar in his works. Pahin is a Chinese Buddhist monk who visited India during the reign of Chandragupta II. He has a travelogue called Records of Buddhist Kingdom, which emphasizes on the culture of Buddhism in India and the Gupta Empire. Many other prominent visitors include Xuanzang, Marco Polo, and Ibn Battuta. India became a leading business hub of the world. They traded pearls, gems, diamonds, coral, sandalwood, etc. The Indian Ocean trade route connected many major empires such as the Persian Empire, Mauryan Empire in India, Han Dynasty in China, and the Roman Empire. Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism, and other religious thoughts were spread. The emergence of Portuguese sailors, the Dutch East India Company, and the British East India Company led to the decline of India's trade networks. Students. Ancient India had many major universities all over India, attracting students and scholars from all around the world. Some famous ones were Nalanda, Shardapit, and Takshashala, the world's first and oldest universities. Students came from all over the world, including Burma, Thailand, Greece, Korea, China, Indonesia, etc. Many disciples were taught astrology, astronomy, medicine, language, philosophy, agriculture, archaeology, and more. Invaders. In 327 BC, Alexander crossed the Indus River to begin his Indian campaign. Porus or Purushottam, the Hindu king, provided a tough fight and dented Alexander's determination to continue his conquest further. As a result, Alexander's army revolted and was forced to return back to the banks. He could never conquer India, the land he so desired to rule over. The Huns. The Huns were a tribe that originated from Central Asia and parts of Iran. A soldier from the Malava kingdom recruited the forces of many smaller Hindu kings and Magadha. The joint war effort led to the defeat of Mihira Kula in 528 CE. The Huns returned and never invaded again. The Mughals. The Mughals are Islamic invaders from Central Asia and Persia. They started invading India over 1,200 years ago. Most were repelled by brave Indian kings. Mughals made most inroads and for a few centuries ruled a large part of North India. Brave kings prevented their taking over India and converted Alts into Islam, like many have done before. Many of these figures include Lachit Borpukhan, who protected Assam from Aurangzeb's army and the Mughals in the 17th century, Maharana Pratap, who endured many hardships in order to prevent Mughal invasion, and Shivaji, a freedom fighter who is known for his bravery and fighting tactics. The Portuguese. Portuguese attacked and seized port cities like Calicut on India's west coast. They established a colony and acquired many territories in the northern Konkan region of western India. They ruled the seas due to strong naval power, and Francis Xavier started persecution of non-Christians and initiated forced conversions into Catholicism. The Maratha power and later the French, Dutch, and British forces kept the Portuguese from spreading into India, and Rani Abaka, in particular, won many battles amongst the Portuguese in the mid-16th century and prevented the Portuguese from gaining foothold in India. The British. The British, Portuguese, Dutch, French all came at first for trade. However, some stayed back using their superior navy and gunpowder-based artillery to capture and colonize some of India. The British in particular were able to colonize large parts of undivided India and ruled it from 1857 to 1947. They drained the country of a lot of its wealth, glory, and disrupted its social structure and flourishing education. Many kings fought the British advantages. One major figure is Maharani Lakshmibai or Jhansi Ki Rani, who was responsible for starting the first organized war against the colonizing British and planting the seeds of heroism and the ideas of independence in Indians all over. Conclusion. India has a long history of accepting refugees to its shores and treating them with compassion and respect. A lot of famous travelers have come to India for over 2,500 years and were able to learn a lot, take a lot of important notes and knowledge, and write about it in their own country. Many students came to India's great universities over 2 millennia ago. Most invaders, starting from Alexander, were repelled and sent back. The Mughals and other Islamic invaders made some amount of inroads in occupying India. The British, with their superior gunpowder and arms, were able to colonize all of India and rule for about 190 years, but our strong kings and unity defeated them. Thank you.